The moon really is something, isn't it? A sliver of light in utter darkness, a silent celestial spotlight shining upon us as we stare back, pondering the mysteries of the universe. The effect of its presence on humanity's culture and our shared history can't be overstated, but do you ever get the feeling that something is staring back? Gonzalo Lopez Gallegos' 2011 found-footage sci-fi horror film Apollo 18 delves into the secrets we keep while on the very edge of exploration, where, for reasons often beyond our control, the results are anything but stellar. The premise of the film is stated in the very beginning, addressing that Apollo 17 was the last manned mission to the moon in 1972. In 1973, however, 3 American astronauts were sent on a secret mission to the moon under the instruction and supervision of the U.S. Department of Defense to install what the astronauts believe are high-energy radiation detectors to alert the U.S. of any impending missile attacks from the USSR. The movie presents to the audience that what they are about to see is actual footage of an ill-fated mission never before shared with the public. It also states that while NASA denies its authenticity, others say it's the real reason American astronauts were never sent back to the moon. This play on conspiracy also acted as part of the film's marketing campaign at the time of release. The Science and Entertainment Exchange provided consultation to the film's production team, while NASA had minimal involvement with the project. Despite not participating in production of the film, NASA released a statement addressing and educating the public about the fact and fiction of Apollo 18 upon its release, clarifying why traveling to the moon had not been a high priority in recent decades. After all, at the time of release, NASA hadn't been to the moon for almost 40 years. Following the tail end of the first space race in the 1970s, U.S. public interest in the Apollo missions was waning, and it shifted priorities to other matters like the Vietnam War and civil unrest within the country. American-Soviet relations and congressional budget restrictions were also major factors, and in 1970, then NASA Deputy Administrator George M. Low announced that Apollo 20 was canceled. NASA was forced to economize by reassigning the Saturn V launch vehicle originally designated for Apollo 20 to the Skylab program, the first U.S.-operated space station, which was manned from May 1973 to February 1974, before falling back to Earth July 12, 1979, crashing in a remote part of Australia. The Apollo 18 and 19 missions would have to wait until the conclusion of the Skylab program. NASA canceled Apollo missions 15 and 19 in September of 1970 due to congressional budget cuts of NASA's 1971 appropriations bill. Then NASA Administrator Thomas Paine announced that the remaining missions would be designated Apollo 14 through 17. Apollo 18, as it was planned, calculated, and designed, was never actually canceled at all, only renumbered to fit numerically in the new modified schedule. No crews officially were assigned to the canceled missions, and the new crew rotation meant the backup crews for the missions moved up to become the prime flight crews 3 missions later. Based on this new rotation, the crew of Apollo 18 would have been the backup crew for Apollo 15, with Richard Gordon serving as commander, Harrison Schmitt as lunar module pilot, and Vance Brand as command module pilot. Coincidentally, just days after Apollo 18 was released to theaters, NASA announced that the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter captured the sharpest images ever taken of the Apollo program's 12, 14, and 17 landing sites, with no evidence of an 18th landing site, just to prove the point. The end of the film also states that the Nixon administration gave away hundreds of moon rocks to foreign dignitaries around the globe. While it is true that the Nixon and Ford administrations gave away 135 Apollo 11 moon rocks and 135 Apollo 17 Goodwill moon rocks, the Moon Rock Project, a joint effort of over 1,000 graduates from the University of Phoenix in 2002, has helped track down many moon rocks and found that 160 are unaccounted for, lost, or destroyed. While there is a focus on scientific realism in Apollo 18, the film also crafts a grisly science fiction horror angle, with its antagonist alien creatures bearing a unique design that blends in with the surface of the moon. They camouflage themselves in an outward rock-like shell, protecting them from the cosmic radiation of the sun, with spider-like appendages shooting out ready to attack their prey. These crater crustaceans bear no similarity to the humanoid extraterrestrials depicted in pop culture blockbusters of the past, making for a more nuanced and unsuspecting terror caught in the peripheral view of the astronauts' helmets. The lack of A-list actors and over-the-top scares also adds to the alienation and isolation, creating a gradual decline into insanity. This gives the film a realistic feeling of helplessness, playing into the limits of the technology available in the 1970s. The visuals, consisting of jerky film reels and grainy recordings of the landing, quickly settles into the heightened tension of an unknown alien threat. Distorted and delayed, the film develops into an air of dread, especially paired with the eventual realization that Command has no intention of recovering these astronauts and in truth has sent them there just to act as guinea pigs for DoD research. Apollo 18 was panned by critics, comparing it to the surge of other found footage horror films with lackluster reception released at the time. Reviews wrote it off as paranormal activity in space, but beneath the novelty of the genre's bad reputation, the atmospheric subtleties and catastrophic eye of the camera effectively provide the mounting tension of a space mission gone horribly wrong. There would be a viable reason to have these events recorded, and the slow-paced, horrific revelations become all the more impactful as the reels of film begin to run out and the audience never sees that angle again. Apollo 18 drives home the point. Leave no stone unturned in the path of discovery. Something might have just been looking for you all along.